Hello. Have you, either being a male or female, felt like you're in a better learning environment because a person from the opposite gender is not present? If so, you better listen up, because I am here to tell you that boys and girls belong in the same classroom no matter what. You may remember the phrase, separate but equal. We all know what this truly meant and how it transformed our society in more ways than one. It may be hard to think what life would be like without all races living together in our nation today. However, you do not need to look much further than to segregated schools that divide up children based on their gender and interfere with their learning process. Now, all those equality for all times are past us, right? Around the country, students are still being segregated by gender in different classrooms, and it needs to stop. Boys and girls need to learn together and bond together, or the country could be greatly affected for future generations. If the two genders are not working together now, they may never be able to for the rest of their lives. I have done much research on this topic already, and I have somewhat experienced what this argument discusses. In my computer science class, though not segregated by the school, is all boys. I have noticed a lot of times that I am not able to learn as well or comprehend the material as well because a lot of us boys just butt heads the entire class. Today, I decided to talk to you about the separation of genders in classrooms because I truly want all students to have the best education possible and be able to make the biggest impact with their lives. If separated, their education can be hindered in ways that greatly affect their future. I hope and expect that after my speech, you will want all genders to fit inside one classroom. What I plan to talk to you about are examples of schools that have gender-specific classrooms and statistics showing how these changes affect the students, while also telling you how bad this is for the students and what needs to get done. Student separation can happen in more than one way. Just in case you are having trouble picturing what a gender-segregated school would look like, a good example would be Wabash College in Indiana, which is for males only. Overall, there are around 80 single-sex schools in the country. A lot of schools will say they are co-ed, but unless they are learning in the same classroom, boys and girls are still not able to learn together correctly. Another form of division is when the two genders are being taught different things. They could even be in the same room, but if they are not on the same curriculum and building off of the same material, they might as well be in separate classrooms. Now that you have a general idea of how prominent this issue is in our country, let me back it up with some research. Many studies have found that separation of genders does more harm than good. Girls and boys actually tend to improve on their grades when in the same setting. A 2011 study by the journal Science concluded that sex-segregated education is deeply misguided and often justified by weak, cherry-picked, or misconstructed science claims rather than by valid scientific evidence. There's no well-designed research showing that single-sex education improves students' academic performance, but there is evidence that sex segregation increases gender stereotyping and legitimizes institutional sexism. Another study within CNN gathered results that said girls reported getting in trouble for moving around or fidgeting more often alone than with boys because they seemed to do it a lot more. Only around 25% of kids in gender-specific classrooms answered that they liked the learning environment. The other 75% found it hard to conform to one classroom. This evidence and research alone should be enough to stop gender-segregated schools from remaining divided. But another reason for switching is the fact that students already have enough on their plate. Schools should want the best for their students, no matter the gender. History shows that division keeps people from achieving their greatest potential. Students with learning disabilities, or even those who struggle with keeping up with the daily tasks, should not be under any more pressure in school. Keeping the classrooms co-ed will prevent these students from struggling any more in their schoolwork and in their daily lives. Now that we know why co-ed classrooms must become mandatory for all schools because of the benefits, let me explain what needs to be done. First and foremost, schools must be made aware of this evidence that genders should not be separated. First, schools always want the best for their students, so if they realize that separate classrooms actually do more harm than good, they could make the decision to switch. Second of all, the parents must also be made aware of this undeniable evidence. They want their children to be taken care of and be able to achieve their greatest potential. So parents need to know. They will then be able to take what they have learned and fight for equality in the classrooms. Finally, this must be a law put into place by the federal government. It will not take much to show how separate classrooms are not efficient and how they must end. Passing a law could solve this problem once and for all. I believe students have the right to excel in every situation of their life academically, socially, and all else. Without personal interaction with the other gender during school hours, students could be getting set up for failure. Segregation exists in many forms, and this is one way in which we can tear it down. I hope you all can agree that we need future leaders who will excel at what they do and will not be held back by anything. Thank you.